Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming in. Dr. Natasha is here, and we are live on another amazing session of Kingdom Purpose Talk. I have my amazing guest who is coming in, and he's getting ready to come in on the broadcast tonight. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming in. With our amazing guest on tonight is Daniel Kilburn. He's an amazing expert at what he does. I'll get him to share his story in a few moments. When I see him come in, I'm going to invite him into the screen. Y'all pray that we don't have any technical difficulties because we rescheduled this twice due to bad weather and inclement weather here. But I'm excited because topics like these we're talking about tonight on Kingdom Purpose Talk is the vitality of fatherhood. How important is fatherhood? Why is it vital? Why do we need our fathers in the lives of the children? Also, not only the children, but in the lives of some grown people as well. He got it. He's coming in tonight. He's here. All right, Daniel, give me one moment. Let me see if I can add you to the broadcast. I sent the invite, Daniel. Good. So that is very important because it's crucial to have that authority and to have that guidance and to have what we need in our lives from our fathers. Because I tell you, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have that in my life, to have my father growing up to give me that structure and give me different strategies and dynamics on what it is, to be a woman, and what it is to, when people, watch out for different kinds of men, because there are different kinds of men out there. But just to have that foundation in the home, to have that structure with my father. And I was actually talking to my fiance last night about my dad, because I'm very, very detailed and very organized. And the reason I'm like that is because of what my father instilled into me. He told me, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. He always told me not to procrastinate. He says, anything that you do, you go ahead and do it, because all you have is your reputation. All you have is your name. He says, do not let your your good be spoken evil of, and to always keep your name, always keep your reputation, no matter what you're doing. And he always would tell me, if you go out there and get in trouble and it's your fault, I'm not coming to rescue you, okay? You're going to have to face the consequences. And things, when he told me stuff like that, I did not want to upset him. I didn't want to bring shame onto him. So I made sure that I walked in a manner to where I honored him for that, because I knew my father, being a woman, like, I look up to him, and being that woman, actually to have my father's, like, I want to make my father proud. I want to make, my father know that, he can trust me with different things. So that's why it's so vital for fatherhood. And it's vital for women. If you're out there, if you're listening to me and you're keeping your children from their father by, because you guys didn't make it or whatever issue you may be having, so please not do that, okay? Because the children has nothing to do with the parent, and to allow the children to see their fathers. If they're not in hurt, harm, or danger, then allow them to establish that relationship. Allow them to make those decisions, because it's vital. I know some grown people now, and they're struggling because, they went out and did certain things because grown men did not have a father. They didn't have what they needed, and have that father show up to games or show up to be supportive, the things that we look into as a father. So we have our guest here, the amazing Daniel is in the building, y'all. We have rescheduled this, and I'm telling you, if y'all know where I stay at, y'all can relate that in the country, it's horrible when it comes to weather and different things like that. But we are here tonight. I am going to let Daniel introduce himself, tell us a little bit about what he does, and we're going to dive straight into the broadcast. I had so many people reaching out to me about the broadcast, and they're going to share and come in because they are listening for tips and strategies on how vital fatherhood is and what can we do about it to keep it in that vital standpoint.
All right, thank you very much, Natasha. I'm so happy that you've invited me here. And since I can't tell if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up.
Yeah, we can hear you good.
Okay, good. So my name is Daniel Kilburn. I'm a speaker, an author, and a coach, retired U.S. Army Senior Infantry Drill Sergeant. And I've instructed in the United States Army's non-commissioned officers academies, to include the Sergeant's Major Academy. I have published, and on Amazon I've got maybe 5 or 6 books. I got a few more out, and they all revolve around personal development, leadership, communications, and disaster management. And that's
Hi, you guys. Thank you so much for coming back in. I have no idea what to the broadcast, but we are back. Go ahead and sow a share. Let me invite some people to come back in. Go ahead and sow a share. We are here. Give me a moment, y'all. Like I told y'all, I have not done this Facebook thing in forever. So let me, different browser. Okay, yep. So let me let him know that I did send another broadcast, but I'm telling you the importance of this conversation tonight on Kingdom Purpose Talk. The enemy doesn't want us to talk about it, but we are going to talk about the importance of fatherhood, the vitality of fatherhood, why it's so important. This is the very thing that the devil does not want. He does not want our men in place. He does not want fathers in place. He don't want them in the children's lives. He don't want them in the homes. He don't want them running their own business. He does not want them free. He does not want them healed, delivered, so they can operate in the purpose of authority that they're supposed to operate in. So invite somebody to come into the broadcast. I am waiting for my guest to come back on because he fights the very thing like this. The vitality of fatherhood. We need our fathers. Whether people want to believe it or not, it is so important to have our men in posture, in place, in position, ready on the forefront to be priests, to be protectors and providers. And I know some amazing men now who are my amazing brothers that are amazing men. They're on the front line. They're teaching our young men. They're teaching and equipping even the men. He says he's on my page. Give me one moment. I sent him a request. John should be coming in a moment, but to teach our young men, how to be men, what it is to be a man. And I know a lot of times us women, we're in single homes and we feel like we're standing in the father's role, but let me tell you, let me just put a pin in your bubble. We're not men. Okay, I know you want to feel like that, but we're not men. There are certain things that men can teach men that we cannot teach them. Okay, and we do our best as single mothers to do nurturing and cultivation. But when they grow up, or even in the midst of their childhood to adulthood, there's some struggles. There's some things that they're missing. Welcome, Frederick. Thank you so much for coming in. There's some things that they're missing, that they need their fathers, or they need a father figure or another man in their life. Give us one moment. There he is.
Okay.
I'm telling you, when I tell you the enemy be trying to fight stuff like this, he does not want, whatever you got to say has to be mighty powerful.
Well, I'm in agreement with you there.
Nothing.
Powerful people are always under attack for something.
I know that is right. And I'm so excited to have you. I was like, y'all, I'm not doing this broadcast without him. If we got to do it tomorrow, we'll do it tomorrow. Because I know you have something to share with them. And like I said earlier, this is the space that we need our men and we need our fathers and we need them, in their identities, and let them know that they are important. I know throughout history, men have been put on the bottom of the totem pole, and that is not so. That is not so for us women to feel like we should be dominant in certain areas that we're not supposed to be dominant in. So tonight we're going to go ahead and start before the devil try to make us go off again. The questions we have, because I had some other questions that did come in my inbox that people needed some dialogue on, and they want to know, this is one of the questions that did come in the DM, is how would you define fatherhood in today's context? There's so many definitions of fatherhood and it's ridiculous, but I'm coming to an expert that I know that and how do you think it differs from the past?
Well, we are no longer in what could be considered the nuclear family. The husband, wife, the 1.2 children, the 2.4 pets. That doesn't exist anymore. We're more separate and divergent than we've ever been in history, unfortunately. So when we want to define fatherhood, we can look at the Reader's Digest or the dictionary definition. I don't think it counts anymore, because what it counts to be a father is to be there, to be present in our children's life. It doesn't mean throw money at them. Definitely doesn't mean try to be their friend, because we need to be there. And the best thing I can say is, to give you some to me, is when I discovered my last wife was pregnant with my oldest daughter, I was just this close to pulling the trigger of that marriage and getting out of there, because I saw the writing wall. But when I discovered she was pregnant, I could not do that. Now, I could not do that because I said, I'm going to be a great father. No, I could not do that because I knew what it was like not to have a father, because I grew up without one. I saw my mother try to raise me and my sister without a father, and I saw the drama and the trauma she went through in her life because she didn't have the resources she needed, which a man should or could be providing, especially for his children. So I stayed with the marriage so I could be a father for my daughter. Again, I'll say I had no idea what being a father was, but I knew what it was like not to have one, so I stuck with it. And today I'm very happy I did. I mentioned earlier, be there for your children. I read a lot, and so I'd put my daughter in my lap, and whatever I'm reading, it could be a comic book, it could be a newspaper, it could be a magazine, I would read and I'd underline the words, and she'd sit there and look. She's a very, very smart girl. She knows how to read. She graduated ahead of her class. Did the same thing with my granddaughter, the same thing, graduated ahead of her class. And what we've discovered through scientific evidence, that parents who read to their children get smarter children. So we always tell our kids how smart they are. Let's be their dad, but you're not going to be their friend. Since my daughter says, no, I didn't get raised by my dad, he trained me. Yes, drill sergeant dad trained his children because dad will not be here someday. I am going to be gone. You know, you can see this white hair in my head. I got news for you. I have more days behind me than I have in front of me, and I know that.
Wow.
So I want to give my children the tools that they can work with to build a valuable life for themselves and their future for a world I will never see.
Wow.
And that's just a fact. It doesn't matter who we are, how old we are. Tomorrow's not guaranteed for anybody, period.
It's not.
So if you're an individual who has parents right now and you have something you want to say to your parents, say it. Get on that phone and call them. I haven't talked to mom or dad in 10 years. Why is that? Well, it's their fault. No, it's not. It's your fault too. Okay, come on. You think you're a powerful person, then be powerful. Get up there and talk to them. It's like we are all our own most special person in the world. Natasha,
Right.
You're the most important person in your world. I'm the most important person in your world. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's fantastic. It's absolutely the way it should be on a lot of levels. But unfortunately, it gets sort of denigrated, so to speak, because people think, well, I'm so special with those kids. You know, I don't want to deal with them. No, we talk about a lot of single mothers. You know, in the United States, there's roughly 15 million single mothers out there right now trying to raise children. And I have no idea why the father's not there. I really don't know. Is it because it was the best thing for the father to leave? Maybe, depending on who the father is. It might have been the best thing for him or her to be out of there.
Right.
But what I do know with most children in general, they want their dad.
Yes.
You know, they do want their dad in their life. Because women and men have different energies, right? Okay? And because we have different energies, the child needs to feed on both of those energies for them to grow into a whole person. So that's what I'm talking about. Don't be their friend. Be the person who makes them eat their breakfast. Be the person that gets them to bed in time so they get enough sleep. Be the person that makes sure they stay rehydrated, especially with this hot weather coming.
Yeah.
Drink your water. Be the person that makes them do their homework. Be the person, be the taskmaster, be the person that they're going to absolutely friggin' hate because he made me do my homework before I can go play my video game. Be that person because you love them. And their day will come down the road where they will see all those friends that they didn't get to play the video games, that they didn't go out and play with, they didn't go out and do this, and they're going to find themselves at a certain level compared to those other people.
Yeah.
That's just going to happen. And it's not because we're trying to make our children better than anyone else. We just want our children to be valuable people. Now, here's an opinion I have, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that each and every one of us.
Right. Yeah.
I believe each and every one of us.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, it's a delay. Go ahead.
Okay, I believe in each and every one of us are on this planet right now to do something significant, something special, something unique, something that will be positive for the people around us, the community we live in, and the world. The higher being, God, Buddha, whoever, whatever you want to call him, did not bring us here to be impoverished, to be destitute, to be poor, to be living under a bridge or in a box. We were not brought here to have conflict with people we stand next to us. We were not brought here to have conflict with the person that one day ago I said, I love this person very much, and now I can't stand him. That's not why we're here. That is not what we were brought here for. We were brought here to do something uniquely special. And each and every one of us has the tools within us to do it, whether we know it or not. And now you might be saying, well, Daniel, you say you're an Army drill sergeant and you train people. I said, well, yeah, but I got news for you. If you're still on this planet, there's somebody out there waiting for you to bump into them for some reason. There's somebody looking for your message, whatever that message is. There's somebody looking for you to teach them something. There might be someone looking for you that they can teach you something.
Yeah.
Maybe they just want to hold your hand, a shoulder to cry on, an ear to listen to. Every day we walk by people in our lives and we have no idea which one of those people, maybe we could affect their lives in a good way. So that's how I like to think I live my life. Who can I affect in a positive way today? It's how I raise my children, my granddaughter, so they can be a positive influence in the world that they live in. Because Daddy, Papa will not be here someday to help them. I will not be there to hold them up. I will not be there to catch them. I've already done that. I taught them a long time ago, okay, you're a grown up now. You're going to fall. Yeah. You better figure out how to catch yourself. So that's sort of where I'm coming from, you know?
Yeah, you got it. And I love it. And you said something very key in the beginning, present. Nobody asked you to be perfect, but are you present as a father? That means being there to hold them accountable, to hold their hand. I saw a couple of years ago a
Exactly.
video,
It's like
and this video
if you
that
can
they done was they was walking actually in the mall, like in the store, and it was random hugs. They would just walk up and just hug a man, walk up and hug a young brother, walk up and hug a little kid, and they were making it to where when they show them that a hug, what it does, and they broke down. Those men begin to cry. Those young boys begin to cry because when was the last time as a father you hug your child? When was the last time that those men and those young men received just a hug from their masculine energy father to come up and just say, you know what, I love you. I'm here for you. I'm proud of you. So the importance when you said to be present, like you said, like I said, nobody asks for a perfect father, but the children do need you to be present, you to be there, you to show up. And it's crazy that we can show up for everybody else, but we can't show up for our kids. We can go to
I
clock
agree
into
with
a
that
9 to 5
100%.
job. Go ahead. Yeah. We can go and clock in at a 9 to 5 job, and we can, do all this other fancy stuff and these conferences and webinars and all. And
Okay.
teaching them and training them to be up, training up a child in the way they should go. And I see a lot of times, when people are not present and you're not there, electronics, they raise the kids. The kids are raised by peer pressure and friends and people in the street. They're looking for love in other places is because my mom is too busy, or my dad is too busy, or my dad is not here. And when I was on social media the other day, I saw with this little boy, he kept asking, going to his dad and say, hey dad, when can we have a conversation? And his dad was still at the laptop talking, typing and telling him, son, I'll get to you later. I'll get to you later. And long story short, he kept putting him off and putting him off and putting him off. And he went back in and asked his dad, he says, how much do I have to pay you to get some of your time? And so he went into his room and he got his allowance and the money he's been saving. I think it was like roughly $26. And he laid it at his dad's desk. And he says, now can I pay you for your time? We don't ever want our children to feel like they have to pay their father or pay, that mentor or somebody for their time to be present and to have that vitality of, I need to talk to you. I need you to be here. And like you said, those intimate moments you spent with your daughter, just doing homework, it changes their lives. Just sitting down watching a movie with them, just letting them talk at the dinner table. And I wish many people would bring that back to have dinner as a family. And that's one thing I'm petitioning, even with my own family, is we sit at the table like, mom, dad, and siblings or whoever you're with, and to be able to let those children talk, because 9 times out of 10, there's something they can tell you that can help teach you how to be that mother or how to be that father, especially since we're talking about fatherhood tonight, how to be that father. And it's not wrong for them to speak up and voice their thoughts and their concerns because they're the ones being affected. So if you sit down and have that conversation, they'll let you know, well, you missed my game today. I was really looking, for the moment for you to take me fishing. I mean, I know a lot of things. And so that vitality and standing that posture, allowing our children to help shape us because they're the ones that made us parents to start with. They're the ones that made your father to start with. So they can shape and mold and also cultivate us as well. And it moves us to our next point of who are some of the people who have influenced your approach to being a father, and what were some of the valuable lessons you learned from them? Because a lot of times each one teach one. So who were some people in your life, because you said earlier you didn't have your father present, what filled that void for you?
Well, that's a really hard question to answer because I cannot say there was ever a father figure in my life
Wow.
that was positive. I did have another father figure, and he was extremely negative, and we'll just leave it at that. But what I can say is observation, we influence people, whether we know it or not. We can be walking down the street, and someone's going to look at us, and they're going to be influenced by something we do or do not do. It's just going to happen,
Right.
And all I can say is my influence was those rare times when I saw a father interacting with his children, and his children beaming and smiling at him and loving him. I mean, what else do you need?
Yeah.
There's no handbook to fatherhood. There isn't one. We kind of had to write that out on the, in our own. But, we do influence people around us all the time. And our children do, depending, I hate to say it, but we're a byproduct of the people that raise us, the schools we go to, the society we live in. We're byproducts of all of this. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes it's indifferent. And one of the downsides is a lot of times what we're taught is totally detrimental to ourselves, our lives, and our families, but we don't know any better because that's just how it was. We hear people talk, well,
Right.
that's just how it is. Well, it's wrong. Well, I don't care. That's just how it is. Well, it's still wrong. So why are we in such a hard place that we won't do the right thing at times? Why is it so hard for us to do that? You were talking about people going around and hugging people. I carry some little hearts in my pocket. Let me see if I can find one here. I carry a
Wow.
bunch of these. I got them by accident. I got them. I didn't get them to do what I do with them, but I got them
Yeah.
itty bitty a
Oh.
little cloth heart. I carry like a half a dozen in my pocket. And during the course of my day, if I run into somebody, male or female, a child or an adult, doing something significant or special, I give them a heart. And some of them just like, oh, what's that for? Well, you did something nice. I like it. But some people cry. Some people just, it breaks them down because no one's done that. I say, this is just for you because I see something in you, period. And then I'm out of here. I don't need to trade names. I don't need phone numbers or anything. Just give them the heart because that does something special for the person. So we
Yeah.
can do this for other people. It's like when I walk down the street, especially if my kids or my granddaughters, and there's a bunch of trash on the street next to the trash can, I'll pick it up and put it in the can. And I might have to wipe my off and say, Papa, why are you doing that? And it says, well, trash can's right there. I mean, let's get it off the street. It makes the street look better. It makes us look more like a more pleasing place to live. But also, somebody saw me do that. Someone saw that happen, and maybe someday they'll hit the trash can when they throw their trash away as opposed to bouncing it off and keeping walking. Maybe they'll
Yeah.
clean up their park or their neighborhood. So it's just simple things like that. Again, that's being present and not in here, not present in here. Because this is one of the worst places to be sometimes. Remember, you should never believe the thing you believe. Don't do it. And if you believe it's so true, do your homework and find out if it really is. I'll tell you,
That's right.
we see a lot of social stuff going on, and I was at best thing to describe it as a protest or a demonstration. And I'm looking at the protesters and the demonstrators, and they're very vociferous and very vocal about what they're doing, but I'm watching them very carefully, and they're all looking at each other. They're all looking at each other to get agreement with what they're doing or to be seen as one of them doing what they're supposed to be doing. And whatever it was they're doing, they felt it was the right thing to do. I got it. It doesn't matter. But that's what really got me. They weren't looking at the people they were to talk to. They were looking at each other. So that tells us a lot of times we do things not necessarily for the outside or for the world, but for the inside, for us to look better, for us to feel better about ourselves. And again, we shall people, we should feel good about ourselves. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's
You know,
right.
it's actually great. But we just have to be
That's right.
careful about what we do to make it happen. That's all. And that's being the
Yeah.
father. Be out there, hold that child's hand, give them the piggyback, talk to them, eat pizza with them. You know, don't argue with mom in front of them. You know, if you and mom have an argument, take it somewhere else. All right, and do not use your children on the battlefield of your wedding or your marriage or your relationship. Because I've heard so many different people you mentioned earlier about keeping the children away from such and such. That hurts the kid a lot. You know, I mean, mom or dad, if you have custody of the kid, and I'll be damned if I'm going to let that other person see this child, it'll be the worst little over my dead body. Well, you know, it might be the only time they get to see your kid gets to see him is over your dead body, but you have no idea what type of harm will be caused by doing that. So we don't want to make harm our children, you know. We're adults, you know, and most of us have armor. We built it
Yeah.
up, and these slings and arrows will bounce off of us. And then we can at some point say, oh, that was pretty interesting. Okay, let's move on. Let's learn something from this and keep going.
Yeah. And it's so important that you said about the hearts. And that lets you know that it's like the little simple things. It's not hard and it's not complicated as people make it to be a father or to walk in fatherhood or to understand how vital it is. It's not as hard as we make things to be in these days because, like you stated earlier, we're not in times that we had back then to where the man was out there working and the woman's at home and that's all you saw.
Right.
And the woman did all the stuff and the fathers didn't really put in the time like that because when they come in for work, they eat, they go to bed, they get up and do it again. The routine repeats itself over and over again. But now we're living in a space where it's so important that that father is present and that father shows up, because if you don't show up and be present, then the child or even the adult, they begin to be traumatized. They begin to go through things in life because they sometimes they can't even tell you why they need you. They just need you. A lot of times children can't process why I need you, or they'll act out. They'll get in trouble at school. You know, they'll do things. It's simply because I don't know where my dad is, or I need my dad. Or some people that do have their fathers, you can kind of tell the difference between if it's a father present, if it's not a father present in the home or in the child's life, or even in the adult's life, because they give off different characteristic traits and they give off different attitudes and different things of that nature. And like I said, I'm also a youth mentor and advocate as well. And when I'm talking to the children about, you know, the importance of fatherhood, and you know, different juvenile children, I've talked to a lot of juvenile children. It's like, why did you do what you do? And it's sometimes it's because I saw my dad do it, or sometimes I saw my uncle do it, I saw my brother do it. Oh wow, I didn't have my father, I didn't have a dad. And so a lot of times they feel like if they don't have that authority, then can't nobody tell them what to do. And so they go and be, you know, in the jails and different things. Go ahead, Daniel.
Well, you bring up a very, very, very valid point here. As obviously we have different age ranges here, so we were sort of
Yes.
raised different generations. But my generation was, don't do as I do, do as I say.
My
That's how I was
goodness.
raised. And I discovered many years later as a drill sergeant, we have, I think it's the last one, there's 605 hours of institutional education going on during basic training for a soldier. 605 hours. But you can remove all those 605 hours, and what that private will remember is what the drill sergeant did, how that drill sergeant acted, how that drill sergeant responded to specific types of input. And we learned that. I learned that. It took a while to figure it out because, you know, we see people walking in life that appear to be always angry. And, you know, they're not always angry, but they're acting like they are. So how do we react to that person? They're always angry. I don't want to say anything to them. They're going to get pissed off at me. It'll be upsetting. So that was, drill sergeants were like that a lot. I have to be the mean guy. I have to be the daddy do. Unfortunately, that's probably what daddy learned. That's what daddy got to, you know. So if you're going to be a dad and you want to help your child, Look at what you're doing. Look deep inside and see what you were doing, good, right, or indifferent. You know what it is. No one needs to tell you. You know deep down inside what you're doing that's right and what you're doing that's wrong. You
Yeah.
know, when you do it, everything, you're not an idiot, all right? So don't try to tell anybody you are, because I'll call you out on that one. You know, if you can handle a cell phone, you're not an idiot, all right? Now, some of us have more problems with them, you know, but hey, you're still a bright person. So
Absolutely.
look at what you're doing, and talk to your kids. Ask your children. You know, I can remember I told you I trained my children. I didn't raise them, but that was the way I knew to do it. I didn't know about raising a child because I really didn't. I was a latchkey kid. Mom always worked a day job and a night job. You know, she was a secretary during the day. I'd come home, she might see her coming, going, and she's out cocktailing and waiting tables. You know,
Wow.
but I did everything that I could to stay in connection with my daughters. And a few years ago, I asked both of my daughters to give me some feedback. Tell
Wow.
me who I am to you. Tell me what I did that was good, what was bad, and what was indifferent. I want to know the truth. I got news for you. I did not get the answer I thought I was going to get.
Wow.
And it wasn't necessarily a positive answer either. But in its own way, it was very positive because two reasons. One is I already created an environment for my daughters and my children to talk to me, where they could talk about anything. And the second way is I could see through their eyes now. This is something we can't see. I can't see through your own eyes, I only see through mine, you know. But I was able to listen to what they said, take that as for face value, and then make changes in myself when I'm relating with them. And we're still very much closer. I can't say maybe I made all the changes they might have liked me to do, but at least I asked them the question. That's the most important part. Talk to them. That goes back to what I mentioned earlier. Be present. Be present with them. Not necessarily on the computer while they're trying to talk to you. You know, be actually present with them. I mean, even if that means watching a movie, be present with them.
Yeah.
Stay off your phone. As a matter of fact, stay off your phone. You bring your phone to the kitchen table and you're eating dinner. Don't do that. You wonder why your kids are always on the phone? Oh, mom and dad, are you always on your phone? Do they watch you do that?
Yeah.
So that's how we can look at ourselves. We can look at ourselves, see what we do during the course of the day. That's good, bad, or indifferent. And how that's affecting our children. Because we cannot sit there and blame the school system for our children being raised the way they are. Okay,
Yeah.
the school system are just a big babysitter. They're not raising your kids for you.
No, they're not. They're not. And I love the fact when you talked about fostering that communicative channel and developing that atmosphere so they can be
Mm-hmm.
safe and feel like they're safe when they come to you. Because a lot of times children are afraid to talk to their
Right.
fathers. They
Exactly.
are afraid to go and say, hey, dad, this, hey, dad, that, because the tradition wise, like you said, do as I say and not as I do, that was traditionalized and put into a lot of the fathers that's as grown now, and they're trying to go back and raise the children the same way. And this is a show me now generation. If these kids don't see it, they're not going to do it, you know. And you can't too much blame them because they want examples. They want the model home. They want the fatherhood. They want the relationship. They want to be able to come to be safe with dad. And I witnessed that Sunday when I saw my apostle. He's on here, Dr. Antonio Schroeder. Welcome, my family is on here. When he was spending time with the children, just playing basketball. It was just something so simple, but that meant so much more than handing them a $25, gift card or taking them and spending money on this and that. That quality time, that is vital to make a connection with your children. Because mothers, we can connect. We're nurturers. We're cultivators. That's normal for us. But can we normalize the connection with fathers with their children, and men not feel like you're weak for doing that, or not feel like you're in the tradition posture for doing that? And like you said, to have that channel to be able for them to come and talk to you and ask them the question of, what can I do to be a better father? Give me some feedback. When is the last time a father as you're watching, have you asked your children, give me some feedback on me being a father to you, and being okay with what they say and not being judgmental? Because a lot of times they won't tell you something because they're afraid of what you're going to say, and you're going to shut them down, and you're going to mute their mouths and put a muzzle on them, and they can't speak. I've talked to a lot of people who are adults now, and because they were muted as children and they didn't have a voice, they don't have a voice now. They're trying to find their voice now because of the
Oh,
trauma
yeah.
of my dad told me not to say nothing. And Like I have a son, and so if my son falls, I go to him, but I don't go to him in dramatic, oh, and make it worse. I go to him and I make sure that he's good, but I'm also allowing him to feel that, because a lot of men now are not emotionally available. Is because they've been told that men don't cry. They've been told as a little boy, you need to grow up and be a man. How do you tell a little boy, 2, 3, 4, 5, to grow up and be a man, and they're still a child? So those word curses and those things that we speak to them, that stuff they compartmentalize in their subconscious and their mental, and they grow that. They grow it in their hearts, and they grow it in their minds. And then when they become grown men, well, my father told me, men don't cry, men don't do this, men don't do that. Based off what though? What statistics? What truth? And like you stated earlier, stop believing everything that somebody said. Men don't do this, and men dig and find the research for yourself. Mr. Kilborn is here. He is here. Reach out to him and say, hey, somebody told me this. And you can be grown man, you can be a teenager, whatever. Is it true? Can I get some research? Can I get some studies on this? Can I get your expertise or some wisdom on this? Because everything that you're told is not true. You're going to have to do the work so that you can walk in that posture and be a vital father to your children, and understand, what is a fatherhood? What's the difference between being a man, a father, and as they call them, baby daddies? Okay, are there differences? So I know you've heard the terminology, he's not a man, he's not a father, he's not this, he's that. So what can you explain that and make that clear for us tonight? The difference, is there a difference between a baby daddy, a man, and a father?
Well, it's kind of interesting, generational differences, but if I look at today, there's a big discrepancy in what it really means to be a man nowadays. Now, based on some of the things you just said, man up, a real man doesn't cry. We were taught to suppress our emotions in some way, shape, or form. We could not let the emotions out, and that's extremely damaging for anybody to do that. Now, what I have observed through my course in the military, the time in the military, and what I did in the Army, I have discovered that men are a lot more emotional than women sometimes,
Yep.
And a lot of people say, no, you're joking. I said, no, I am not joking. But why is that? Well, it's quite possibly because we never had a chance to express it. And then once that bubble gets burst, when the dam gets broken, that stuff is just coming out all over the place. And I'm not a social psychologist or a scientist, but that's my opinion on that. We were told to wrap it up, keep it tight, don't cry, don't let anybody think you're weak, don't let them know this, don't let them know that, don't let them know the other thing. You're a man. But there was no handbook on it. We didn't get a real good block of instruction unless there was a good man in our life that was showing us how to do it. So when you talk about impact about men, this is in the military. My early terms in the military, some of my officers and senior non-commissioned officers could be probably put in that category. They were men. They knew what they were doing, and they showed us the right thing to do in a lot of different ways, which I did not see in the civilian world for whatever reason. My mom didn't hang out with those men for some reason.
Wow. Wow. And it's crazy. Like that dictates whether or not our sons grew up to walk in the masculinity of fatherhood or men based on childhood. That's why it's so important. And if you're watching, if you have little ones, it is so, right now is the most important years ever. Okay. When you get grown, you can find healing, you can find all of that. But now that we have a chance to break the cycle, we have a chance to break the curse. It's not like we don't know. The information is not out there. A lot of people can't say that. We can't make no more excuses as to why, we can't be a father, or why our children can't, have important men in their life, or why I can't take my son to youth camp, or to a male youth camp, and allow them to get the skill sets that they need, and the mentorship that they need. There are so many programs out there to help our children now. That's why the importance of fatherhood and being present, so that you can do the research and find those things for your children. Tap into certain things. And like he said earlier, that is so true. It's a lot of men that are more emotional than women, okay? And it does not mean they're weak. it means that they're stepping into their identity and their character, and that they have feelings too. And they matter too. Just like a woman matter, a man matter. It doesn't matter about your sexuality, whether you're a man or woman. The point is the fact that a lot of men I know, they want to be hugged and they want to be laying in the lap, and they want to be caressed like a big old
Yeah.
teddy bear. And that's
What's wrong with
okay.
that? I think it's
And
great.
nothing is
Yeah.
wrong with that. Yeah. And nothing is wrong with that. And children need to see fathers loving on, if you're with your wife or their mother, they need to see what the model home is supposed to be like. Not what tradition says, but what does the word of God say, because we do have a blueprint to go by. And also, what is experts saying that have been out there in the trenches, that have got the studies, you've got what you need, you have the wisdom. Help me understand how to be a father in my home. We have a lot of fathers, and I know a lot of them that are in the trenches. They're doing what fathers are supposed to do. They're visible and they're present in their children's lives. And a thing about when you're a father, your tone, like the way you talk to children, that is so important, because there's a difference in talking to them and talking at them. Apostle
True.
said we
Yes,
want those
absolutely.
too. Absolutely right, Apostle. But there's a difference in how we speak to our children. So help, if the fathers are watching tonight, the tone and the setting, like how can they help cultivate that to where the children can come, or even somebody that is grown. Your child might not be young. You might be a father watching and your child is my age. How can we foster that setting to where the tone is watched, and that openness and the heart is open to receive what that child has to say, without automatically judging them, automatically shutting them off, or automatically saying, hey, I'm the father, hey, I'm this and that. How can we create that safe space for them, and what strategies and some activities can we use to cultivate that?
Well, there's a lot of things we can do, and regardless of the age, it's never too late to open up that communication. It's all about communication. No matter what you want to think about it, it's all about what comes out of our mouth and our intent with whatever it is we're saying. So it's like I told you earlier, when my kids were real little, I started the conversation with, we can have a conversation about anything. I love you. You can talk about anything at any time. And that's how I started, but I got them young. You know what I mean? I started them real early with that. And yeah, and they still do talk to me about things. I'm sure sometimes I let them know if I want to talk to you about it, whatever it is. But if I push their button, I think something's going on, they'll talk to me about it, which is good. But as we get older, if we missed that boat for whatever reason, then here's what I would recommend is to start the conversation with, I really want to have a conversation with you. I love you,
Wow.
I care for you, and I made some mistakes back there. Can't correct those mistakes, but I can change moving forward. I would like to have a conversation with you, good, bad, or indifferent, and ask them, what do you think of me? What did I do that I could have done different? What did I do good? What did I do bad? What could have been better? That's just an after action review in the military. Did it work or not work? What were we doing? Can we fix something? If it worked, let's continue doing what worked. And if it didn't work, let's see how we can twist and pivot on it and make it work for us. But that's still the conversation with your child. Now, you mentioned earlier the sitting on the computer and the kid finally coming up, here's my $26.17 on my time for you. I've learned that sometimes I sit on my computer, I'm busy, and they come up to me, well, Papa, I want to talk to you, Daddy, I want to talk to you. And I'm in something. I said, sweetheart, I really want to talk to you. Can you give me X amount of minutes? I'll stop what I'm doing. Let me just finish what I'm doing right now so I don't lose track of it. And then we'll sit down and talk, and hold yourself to it. When they come back in 10 minutes and say, are you ready? You don't say, oh, no, I'm not ready yet. I just have to do it, because you'll 10-minute yourself to death until it's way after bedtime for them and you just haven't talked to them. But what we're doing when we do that is we're giving them an expectation, and we're being true to our word. I want you to hear that again. We're being true to our word. Honey, I'm busy right at the moment. Give me 10 minutes to finish up this portion so I don't forget about it. Then we'll sit down and talk. And in 10 minutes, you better sit down and talk with that child, because they will remember that. They will remember, and they'll understand, and they'll know that, well, Daddy told me he's just busy right now, and they know you're not lying to him, and he will come back in a half hour. He will come back and sure. You're making an appointment with your child, okay? You mentioned earlier, people go to work and they're the best things since sliced bread, and they come home and they're amateurs. What's up with that? I mean, I see it all the time. People do. They've got their compost together when they walk out the door and they go to work and they nail everything like the pro they are. And they come back home and they can't tie their shoelaces and they want to sit down and eat ding dong and watch binge Netflix or whatever. So, there's a discrepancy there. Let's be the pro in our own personal lives too. Because then if you can be the pro in your own personal life, you're going to be much better in the other parts of your life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I love the fact when you ask your daughters to give you some feedback, and we have someone that's curious, what was one of the things they told you that you needed to work on and you done the work? What was one thing that they told you that you was like, oh, I didn't know that, but now that I know, I'm going to do the work?
Well, they both had one item
No.
that struck me. That's it. I went, okay,
Wow.
I'm the guy who initiates conversation. They think and that's not like I talked to them or at them. I would talk with them. But they didn't really think I was listening to what they were having to say. That I might have been, okay, sweetheart, what else you got? I got, yeah. I mean, I don't know. So that's what I took to heart. So when we do have conversations, when I do get the opportunity to sit with my children and talk with them, I take it. And nothing else. I'm there. I'm present for them because I know we're not guaranteed tomorrow. I might not wake up tomorrow and be able to talk to my children. My children might not wake up tomorrow and be able to talk to me. So if we're given this gift, let's accept that gift from the universe to have these wonderful people in our lives and see what we can do to help them out.
I love it. I love it. And we're getting ready to end the broadcast tonight, but I'm going to let you have some final words. And anybody that may be watching to understand, if you haven't had any key takeaways from this live, is to know that the importance and the vitality of fatherhood is being present in the moment. Okay? Being present in today. Okay? Because like Daniel stated, tomorrow you are not promised to wake up. Okay, you're not promised next week. You keep putting it off and saying, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. What if you don't get the chance to do it? Okay, so if your children are talking to you, man, if your children are reaching out to you, even if they're not, you still have a duty as a father to walk in your masculinity and be a father. And there's no ifs or ands or buts about it. And if the mother of your child is not acting like she should or whatever, then you have rights. Okay, go to court, get your rights, father your children. Fight for your children, fight for their voice, fight for whatever you need to fight for. Fight for yourself, fight for your own identity, your own sanity. Do the work innerly so that you can outwardly be what you need to be for your children. And when you're understanding that, like his daughter stated, listening. And one thing that I teach very heavy is called the lure method. You listen, you understand, and then you respond. A lot of times we listen or we don't listen. We don't understand nothing they're saying because you're not listening. Some people have selective hearing, selective what you want to hear, and the other out the door is because I've got in my mindset that I'm a dad and I'm right and I'm going to do this and that and the third. When in actuality, no, you're wrong. Just because you are a grown person does not mean you are right. Okay? You can be very wrong and your children will let you know that. And one of the biggest teachers, I'm sorry, are my children. And I know it could be your children too. They'll teach you some things, Daniel, and like, nah, mom, or nah, dad, that ain't that ain't what you said. That ain't how I saw it, And it's okay that we have their feedback. Their feedback, hear me good, and I'm gonna release Daniel. Their feedback is the next generational curse breaker. Okay, that feedback that they give you is going to break the cycle from things traditional, from things that were taught by society. Listen to your children to understand how vital fatherhood really is. How bad I do really need you, Dad. I may not can explain it to you, but just know I need you to be present in the moment. I need you to show up in the moment, regardless of what you may be going through. Men, they go through so much in society, and true, I get it, but it does not negate the fact that you have children. Okay, I'm speaking from first person. You have children that need you. You have grown children who are crying out loud I need my father. And if you're still living that and you have not talked to your children, find that time to communicate. Find that time to reach out. You're not promised tomorrow. You're not promised the next 5 seconds. You're not promised the next 5 milliseconds. You don't know when you're going to take your last breath, and you don't want to leave no stone unturned when it comes to being a father and having the gift. That is a gift to be a father. A lot of men cannot have children, okay? A lot of them can't have children. A lot of them, guess what? Their children are going on and deceased. They have buried their children, and they wish they can go back and make it right. If I had another chance, I would have been there. If I had another chance, I would have took you to the doctor. If I had another chance, I would have just watched a movie or went fishing with you or helped you learn how to tie your shoes or help you, young girl, in that relationship. If you're having problems, as a teenager, you're dealing with what you're dealing with as a father. There are so many avenues you can be and be vital and be what you need to be for your children. And Daniel, do you have any last or final remarks that a father that may be watching, he may be struggling, he may not know how to be a father, or to encourage the fathers that are there to continue to stand there and be there for their children?
Well, you bring it up very succinctly as when the father says, well, I didn't have the chance to. Well, you're telling your child as well, I really didn't want to. Because you have a chance to do anything you want. When I get a group of young men and women in basic training, I make them write down all the problems they have at home because they'll be thinking about those problems. And I take that list and make sure they don't put any name or anything on it. This is one of the tricks I did. No names, no personal identifying information. And I collect all that information and then I pass it out randomly to other people. And I say, read that problem and tell me, will you trade those problems for your problems? In my years as a drill sergeant, not one person would trade their problems for the problems they see on this piece of paper.
Wow.
So then we'd collect all that piece of paper, I'd take it outside and I'd burn it. I said, no, we're here. Here's what's happening. Those problems are still here. They're not going nowhere. You've got them. But now your issue is to get through basic training because you have an issue here, just like your children. Now is now, today is today. Work with your child now. Because whatever you think you need to do will still be there. It's not going there. I mean, if it's life or death or something like that, there's obviously things you might have to adjust, but most of us don't have a real reason not to have time to spend with their child. We just don't. Now,
Yeah.
if you'd like, I'm going to give you, I'm trying to figure out. You want to live with your family and your children. And when I do the disaster management, that's what I first started, was disaster management planning, how to prepare for earthquakes, hurricanes, wildfires, what have you. I'd always make sure the parents truly understood you have to bring your children into this training.
Wow.
Because mom or dad, if you're not home and you have a house fire, does your child know what to do? If you're not home and there's an earthquake, does your child know what to do? If you're not home and there is, whatever's happening, does your child know what to do? So we need to prepare our children to act on their own. And it's very important to do so. But that's also the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
We need to prepare them to act on their own. Now, that's really all I got. I want to thank you very much, Natasha, for having me here. This has been a wonderful conversation. It's a pleasure speaking with you, and I hope that the people who have stayed on and listened to us got some nuggets of wisdom out of it and take them and move them forward.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you so much. You're packed with so much wisdom and knowledge. And I appreciate you for, being the father that you are, being the mentor, being the leader that you are. We need more Daniels in the world to be a leader that you are. I look up to you highly. I follow you very heavily on social media. And I love your spirit. I love what you're doing. And just want to encourage you to just continue on the path that you are on. And we appreciate you. And you guys that are watching, you men that are watching, we're getting ready to have the Mantle Father Conference, which will be July the 2nd. It's sponsored by Kingdom Purpose Talk. and I'm bringing the men that were on the show prior a couple of months ago on the Man to Father. They are coming back, okay? And we have an asset, another male, Mr. Frederick Beatty. He's also going to be coming back. And we have some amazing things that are going on because this is a passion for me. I'm very passionate about our men. I'm very passionate about their vitality. Them because they are necessary and they are very important, and we are to show them as women and as even fellow brothers how important it is for brotherhood, how important it is for you to have, you know, that brother you can lean on and depend on, that support team that you need as a man. Because like Mr. Daniel stated earlier, it's better to be present than to be perfect. Does that make any sense? It is better that you be present and you make all the mistakes you make and your children see it, and they're helping you learn how to not do that again. You know, help hold dad accountable, help hold me accountable. Ask your children, you know, if I do something, help me, okay? And I guarantee you, because they remember everything, they're going to hold you accountable. They're going to say, nope, dad, that's not right. Nope, And so, and be okay with that and have fun with them, enjoy them. They're only little once. And once they grow up, you know, those years are gone. And now, even though they're grown and you still want to bond with your child, father, you have a chance to make it right. You can put the pride aside and be humble about it and walk in humility and say, you know what? Let me reach out to my child. Let me call and just see how they're doing. They may not even respond, but as long as you made the effort, then you are walking in your posture as a father, even though you may not get the response that you need. And some of your children may have wavered away from home. Guess what? You stepping into that role and being a father and continue to be the father that you are, it'll let that prodigal son come back home. And when he comes back home and that child comes back home, you are to welcome them just like nothing never happened. Don't emasculate them. Don't, you know, talk about their failures, because if you look in the mirror, we all have failed, okay? And so we cannot put that pressure on them like that, but be able to. And some of your children are coming home, and somebody may be watching. This is confirmation that your child may be out there doing whatever. But as a father, you have a prayer life, and you step into what you are, and you can pray your children back to a posture and a safe place to want to come home. But that place has to be safe as a father for them to talk to you. So create that safe space for them to communicate with you. And as Daniel stated earlier, communication is vital and communication is key to unlock the next level of the parent and the child, the father and the child coming together and having the relationship that I know you two can have, or however many children you can have. And we want to break the cycle. We want to create model homes for our children. We want to keep sounding the alarm and just reaching out there and grabbing our fathers and grabbing these men and loving on them. You may see somebody in the store, just hug them, you know, and tell them, hey, I ain't funny, you know, I'm just giving you a hug. And you don't know who needs that hug and what's going to break for that father or that child or that young man. So I admonish you, if you don't have any more words to say, you guys will see you next week. Same time, same location, different platform for sure. I'm out of town actually visiting my daughter. And so I don't have all the platform that I needed to have, but I'm just excited about what God is doing. I'm excited that Daniel came in to share his measure with us. I appreciate you. If I had 1,000 tongues, I couldn't thank you enough for being on here tonight and what you really mean to my life. I look up to you as a father figure for me. And I don't care about race. I don't care about nothing. And we can't look at stuff like that. But when I tell you, I look up to Mr. Kilburn, and he don't even know it, but I look up to him. I'm covering you every day. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for your family, your children, and you stay sustained and you stay encouraged as well, because sometimes the encourager needs to be encouraged. We're out there helping everybody else, but we don't get what we need. And so I do want you to know that I do appreciate you very, very, very much.
Well, thank you, Natasha. I take that as an extreme compliment, definitely. And I'm going to leave you with one last thing. I call these my 3P, my 3 please, and we can throw all the words, but the first P is have a plan. So if we don't know what we're doing, let's find a plan. Talk to somebody who might be able to help us. Have a plan. Because if you don't have a plan, someone else will have a plan for you, and you might not like their plan. The second P is be playful. Have fun. I know a lot of people say, well, life is serious. I need to get serious. No, You need to be serious about having fun with life. At the end of life, it's all you've done is serious stuff. You're going to be bored. You're going, oh my God, what did I miss? You missed that roller coaster. You missed that tilt-a-whirl. You missed the holding your hand with your children. So have fun. Always have fun. And three, which you mentioned, persevere. Stick to it. We're not perfect. We're not going to do it right. We're going to fall down. Just get back up and keep moving forward, because as long as we have a plan, we know what direction we're going, we're having fun doing it, we keep taking a step forward, we will reach that goal.
All right. And on that note, you guys, we'll see you next week. And thank you so much for coming in on another amazing session of Kingdom Purpose Talk. Thank you, and talk to you later.